Hey, everybody. Welcome to the week one lecture for your human resources management course. I'm going to do some mini lectures each week. I understand some of you are very used to the traditional room experience, that some of you are doing traditional online. You know, in general, you might do it, but because of what's going on with the pandemic and all that, so I'm going to do a mini lecture. I hope not to go more than 10 minutes, something like that. But you never know. Sometimes you get me started and I get excited and I just keep on a little bit longer. It's just kind of the way it is. So welcome to class. This is an awesome class, folks. You're going to love this. I've had many students in the reviews at the end say, I wasn't really excited about this class, but once I got in there, I found it one of the more interesting classes and very relevant, and it will be relevant even if you don't work in HR ever. At least you'll have a concept of what you have to deal with in the human resources management industry. So I've gotten a lot of great feedback about that. And human resources management industry is a lot juicier than it seems. I get it. A lot of individuals think payroll. They think, benefits. They think processing paperwork, labor relations, which is very, very, very interesting field. But yeah, they do all that. But they're also involved in the overall operations of an organization, or at least they should be. Some places they are not. And what I've found over the years is that basically HR has become an integral part of a company's overall operations, meaning that they are involved in the day-to-day operations and strategic planning of an organization, rather than just being there for support or being involved. So that happens from time to time, though, where HR is not involved as much as they should be. But by and large, organizations are starting to see how important it is to have HR leadership involved in the overall planning and operations of the organization. So here's a simple example. Say an organization wants to go ahead and create new positions to help them with their strategic plan, some new job, new functions, new roles, or whatever. HR should be an integral part of that, not just for hiring and recruiting and hiring the best people for the job, but also to identify the roles and duties for that person and how it relates with everything else within an organization's overall operations. So the first discussion question has to do with, is the HR industry more strategic? I'm sorry, I'm still playing around with my home office here. The answer is it should be. It should be part of an organization's overall strategic plan to go ahead and, be part of the process. Sometimes it doesn't happen. And when that doesn't happen, it just creates more chaos. It's harder to go ahead and to achieve outcomes. Had they went and involved HR in the first place, they might not have that problem. But this is what happens when they're not involved in the overall strategic plan. And I'll give you a simple example, life example here, to have some life examples for you. I worked in training and staff development for, I would say, about 18, 19 years. And I just finished my service with Delaware state government, so I don't do that anymore. I teach now, which is wonderful. All you college students out there and all that, I love it. But anyway, getting back to it, the issue that would happen was that they'd come up with some type of strategic plan. Here's our goals for the year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it may be. I don't know. Pick one. And then what happens is they'll go ahead and they'll come up with this plan. And at the end, when they're implementing it, we need training. Let's get the trainers involved. And the trainers are like, what are you doing? I don't even know what you're doing. Like, now you telling me about this? I have no clue what you guys are up to. We're supposed to figure it out. That happens from time to time because they weren't engaged in the initial planning, part of that process, part of that strategic plan. So what happens is we play catch up, or just basically really don't understand what it is they need. And that can be very, very, very difficult. The other issue I always dealt with from time to time was if there was a problem with an organization, some type of problem, what they'll do especially in regards to labor relations issues, someone not doing what they're supposed to do, somewhere in the lines of harassment. We'll talk about all this stuff later. Behavioral issues is right away. Everyone needs training. Okay. Everyone needs training, but what's the problem? That's the one thing you as an HR professional or as a leader in general or as a follower, when there's issues that arise within an organization, we are tasked with asking, okay, what is the problem? Just like with research, when you do research here for your classes, you're basically identifying and working towards resolving complex problems. That's basically what it is. That's all it is in that regard, anyway. So basically, in this particular case, there's a problem, there's a behavioral issue, there's a process issue, high turnover rate. People are quitting leaps and bounds. Well, we need training. We need motivation training. Yeah, I can go ahead and wave a wand. Oh, you're now motivated. Go about your business. Everything's great. Yeah, on motivation, but what's the problem? And these are things that aren't always addressed early onset that we have to find as HR professionals or as trainers or educators about identifying the problem, because training can be helpful. But if you don't know what the problem is, the training's all for naught, meaning that why even bother doing it if the problem is not going to be resolved? So that's an issue we deal with a lot. So that's what I mean by basically integrating HR with the rest of operations in a way where they can work together, they flow together rather than having separate entities. There's a term they reference to called silos. It's called a silo effect. So I'm from North Delaware, so like 25 minutes south of Philly. So I'm not around farms, but think about farms as a silo. This one has, I don't know, wheat in it. This one has chicken feed in it. This one has whatever, corn. I don't know what they put in those things. But anyway, you get the idea. They're separate from each other and they do not integrate. That's understandable. You don't want your corn mixing with the wheat and all that, right? Well, in organizations, the silo effect can kind of destroy their ability to be efficient and effective. So in other words, it impacts the overall operation. So if you silo your different departments in an agency, it's very hard for them to understand how each role can support the other units within an organization, or how being separate harms the units in each organization. So that's pretty fascinating stuff right there. So the idea is integrating HR into the overall operations is very important so that they have a knowledge and understanding of what's going on, but they can also provide subject matter expertise, even in what they call, and this is the second discussion question, the C-suite. What the C-suite is the executive level, the high level executives, that dream team, that brain trust that the leader has, right? So you have a person from HR involved in that. They're aware of what's going on. They're able to provide advice, and they're able to better implement how to change staffing, how to change training, how to change behaviors, how to change policies and procedures, because they're involved in the overall organization's processes. So that's really, really important. This course is going to be awesome. You're going to love this course. I will provide you guys with a lot of examples. There's stories I can share. There's stories I cannot share. But a lot of them are really, really juicy stuff. And it'll give you an idea on how, interesting the HR industry is. We'll talk about labor relations issues. We'll talk about unions. We'll talk about firings and progressive employee discipline. I mean, this is really dramatic stuff here. And I'll give you some really, really good examples about that. We'll talk about benefits. We'll talk about the value of a dollar. We'll talk about the idea of compensation, in regards to cash versus benefits that you get. Maybe come up with some ideas about what you want to do when you graduate from here, that gives you adequate compensation, gives you good insurance and all that, so that you can live, a nice life, with some good medical benefits. You might not think you need them now, but time is a great equalizer, and eventually we all need something. So it's important to have those benefits. And we'll talk about the meaning of work. We'll go into stuff about vacation. I'll bring out some international comparisons to how they provide benefits for employees, including 5-week vacations in some countries. 5 weeks, that's great. We barely get 2, and it's usually what they call personal time off. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I love talking about this stuff. Thank you very much. I want you to be excited about this semester and what we're going to accomplish. You're going to walk away from this class well informed about the human resources management industry. And a lot of what we're talking about also blends and applies to some of the other courses you've taken too. So welcome. I'm really excited to have you in class. If you have any questions, you can send me an individual message, an email, give me a phone call. I'm pretty decent with text, but again, you're more than welcome to go ahead and contact me if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing you in class. Take care.